Hola chicos, hoy es miércoles, el 18 de noviembre de 2020. Hoy tenemos para empezar, por favor, práctica tu Quizlet 3.1. Después, mira la lección para hoy. Y después, tu tarea es dentro de Canvas. ¿Sí? Muy bien. So, in my in-person class today, we're playing Quizlet Live. So, for those of you who are quarantining, you know what that is. Sadly, you're missing out on that, but you can practice Quizlet on your own. Today's lesson, we're learning about ER and IR verbs. So, remember, just going to type here for purposes, an infinitive, we know what three endings? Hopefully, you're thinking right now that it ends in AR, ER, or IR. So far, we've learned to conjugate our AR verbs. Do you remember what that is? Or those are? That's our O, as, a, amos, ice, and that should be accented, but I'm in the English keyboard right now, and on, right? So for example, if I have the word practicar, I'm going to take off the AR, and I'm going to add these endings. So practico, practicas, practica, practicamos, practicáis, practican, etc. Right? And this means yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, and ellos, ellas, ustedes. So hopefully we remember all that from the past. If not, you might want to review that. That was from our Unit 2. And I think that was the first part of Unit 2, so let me quickly find that page for you guys. If you don't remember how to conjugate your AR verbs, please review page 96. Review page 96. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in here for us. Review page 96 for conjugating AR verbs. Okay, awesome. So anyway, today we're learning about conjugating ER and IR verbs. So, English grammar connection. Remember that the present tense shows action happening now. See page 96. Oh, I didn't even need to write it for you guys. So regular verbs that end in an ER or IR work a little differently than regular AR verbs. So how do you form the present tense of regular ER and IR verbs? Here's how. The endings for ER and IR verbs are the same except in the nosotros and vosotros forms. The letters change in these two forms matches the ending of the infinitive. Okay, so for example, vender is to sell. So our endings for our ER verbs are o, es, a, amos, ace, ain. Okay, so vendo, tú vendes, usted, él, ella vende. Nosotros vendemos, vosotros vendéis, y ustedes, ellos, and ellas venden. Okay. For ejemplo es Mario vende comida en la cafeteria. I'm matching this with who I'm talking about. Compartir means to share. That's our IR infinitive. So yo comparto, tú compartes, usted, él, ella comparte. Notice how these three endings are the same for ER and IR verbs. Then for nosotros and vosotros, that's where we have the change. So this is emos to match the IR and is to match IR. Again, this is amos and ace to match our ER. Finally, comparten, these are going to be the same endings as well. So again, this is something to be memorized. These charts need to be memorized along with your AR infinitive verbs. If you haven't memorized your AR endings, then please memorize those. Again, that's on page 96. Once you have all these endings memorized, you'll be able to conjugate any AR, ER, or IR regular verb. Okay, so obviously, for example, an ER verb we've learned that's irregular is tener, right? It's tango, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen. You might see a lot of those endings are similar, but the root changes from ten to tang, right? However, with our regular verbs, we keep the same root all throughout. So, pretty simple lesson today. The biggest thing is just to memorize those and work with them. The more you work with them, the more you'll have them down. But let's go ahead and do one activity together from the book. Comer o beber indica lo que estas personas comen o beben. Tell what these people eat or drink. So for example, Rodrigo y Marisol y uvas. So what we're going to do is we're going to think, okay, eat or drink. Comer is to eat and beber is to drink. So we'd say Rodrigo y Marisol, and it's an ER verb, both of them, right? Comer and beber. So we're talking about ellos, right? Because there's two. So ellos comen, right? C-O-M-E-N. Ellos comen uvas. So we're taking off the ER of comer and we're adding the EN. Let me go ahead and pull up a spare Google Docs over here so I can write this down for those of us who are visual learners. Google Docs, blank, pull it off to the side. Perfect. Okay, so Rodrigo y Marisol comen uvas. Número dos. Do like refrescos. So do we drink or do we eat refrescos? It means soda, so we drink it. So the to form is an ES. Let me change this to my Spanish keyboard. Two bebes refrescos. Muy bien. Número 3. Ustedes and pan. So you eat bread, right? So how are we going to conjugate comer? Look back at the chart. Come pan. Number 4. Marisol y yo. So that's nosotros, right? Y yo. Well, do you eat or drink soup? That's a good question. I personally think you eat soup. So again, our verbs comer, so that's our infinitive. So remember, if our infinitive is comer, to eat, we're going to subtract the ER and we're going to add the amos for nosotros. Comemos sopa. Ana hamburguesa. What do you think it's going to be? Come, right? That's the ella. Usted ella come hamburguesas. Usted. What's our usted ending? A. So usted come. What's the question? Sandwiches. Yo. Okay, this one you don't eat it, you drink it, right? So beber. Again, I'm going to write that out. Then I'm going to subtract my ER and I'm going to add the yo ending, which, thankfully enough, in the AR, ER, and IR verbs is O, right? So if we're doing an AR verb, it's O, ER, O, and IR is O. That is the only ending that they all share the same, is the yo form. So that's what we shouldn't ever mess up. Yo bebo jugo de naranja. Y los maestros, right? The teachers, and this is true a lot, except for me, I don't drink cafe, I drink té. Los maestros beben café, right? I have my verb beber, I take off the ER, and I add the EN for the ellos ending, right? Beben café. So, that's all my book activity I want you to do. What I highly recommend for you guys, is create, let me see where we are. Yes, insert a table 2x3, and I suggest you guys copying and pasting this a few times, like this, in your own Google Doc. Copy, paste, paste, and go ahead and fill out the AR chart, the ER chart, and the IR chart. Try to make some comparisons, okay? Like I said, the O endings for the yo forms are the same. But there's a lot of other similarities that if you just compare all of them, that will help you remember in your brain all of the endings. So highly recommend doing that on your own time. I'm not going to take the time to do that right now in class with you because you can do that on your own. Help you memorize it. But one thing I also want you to do to try to work with these endings is I want you to go ahead and try to write a paragraph with 6 sentences using conjugations of compartir y, what's the other one we looked at today? Compartir y vender. Okay? What I'm going to do for you is I'm not going to grade this, but if you want to send me your paragraph and get feedback from me, I will be happy to do that. Getting feedback about your writing is super helpful when learning a language. So I highly recommend you creating a Google Doc, sharing it with me so I can edit it, write comments and everything, and I will give you feedback on your paragraphs today. So for example, you could say, yo, compartir means to share. So compartir, subtract the ER and add the O. Yo comparto comida mucho. I share food a lot. Now, if I want to say I share a lot of food, now note that this is a word of frequency, right? I share food a lot. If I want to say I share a lot of food, that's when I'm going to put it in front of my word and make it match in number and gender. So we have missed that a lot on different writing assessments and stuff. So I share a lot of food versus I share food a lot. So this one's I share a lot of food, or yo comparto comida mucho. A sentence with vender could be like, mi hermano y mi hermana, my brother and my sister, venden limonada. I guess we haven't learned how to say that yet. So I'll say they sell refrescos. Mi hermano y mi hermana venden refrescos. They sell pop or soda. So anyway, your sentences don't necessarily have to go together, but I suggest practicing writing out a paragraph, send it to me in a Google Doc so I can give you feedback on that. That'll be helpful for you moving forward. Okay, lastly, I have an assignment for you. I'm going to upload it to Canvas later today. And that's it, guys. Just study those charts. Please write them out, compare them, memorize them, write out that paragraph, send it to me, and I'll get you some feedback. Adios, chicos. Hang in there. We're almost to Thanksgiving break. A little less than a week left. So hang strong. Adios, muchachos. Hasta mañana.